Welcome, Motenta people. It's time to remember the German film diva, the brave Romy Schneider, one lady who did her best to write her name in the history book. A glamorous talent who tried her best to continue the legacy of her mother with her unique and dynamic personality. Sadly, she met an untimely death under a yet-to-be-ascertained circumstance, amidst traumatic life, one loss too many for such a lively, pretty lady. Was Romy Schneider's personal life a disaster? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. Romy Schneider went down in history as a famous Hollywood star of international repute. A few months back, I reviewed some achieved stories about Hollywood personalities, and I marveled at the things said about this talented woman. At the climax of her brief career, this lady was all over the media for a very obvious reason. She made headlines and became a media sensation long before her mysterious death. I also heard that she had a way of responding to her audience's needs during her performances. Her unmatched dynamism, stylishness, and charisma on screen placed her among the screen goddesses of classic Hollywood. Painfully, her private life was full of worrisome situations that unfortunately ended tragically. She may be out of the scene, but her story will continue to fascinate movie fans for many years to come. Romy Schneider will be much remembered for highly successful movies in the 1970s. She proved that she could transcend from the candy floss creation of sissy films. She entertained massively her European audience for about 15 years, particularly in France, where she is still remembered today as one of the grandest dames of cinema. She had worked with reputable international film directors like Luchino Visconti, Bertrand Tavernier, and Claude Sauté, not forgetting, of course, Costa Gavras, all of who once showcased her talent on screen. She has also co-starred with notable actors in French cinema and won her first César in 1975 for her part in the movie That Important Thing, Love. Remarkably, Romy Schneider was just 17 when she appeared as a title character in Sissy, a romantic movie that centered on the youthful Bavarian princess who turned the Empress of Austria. The movie significantly threw her into the limelight and expectedly becomes her career breakthrough. Analysts say with that outing, Romy became an instant film diva sensation of the 1950s. The likes of Marlene Dietrich, Hedy Lamarr, and Romy Schneider are among the German talents who turned their back on Germany for a more competitive and profitable entertainment setting. But her case seems different because of the scenarios and events that defined her stardom. Was Schneider a victim of fate or the circumstances that created her fame? Film studios in Paris and Hollywood, where this lovely talent majorly showcased her talent, would continue to mourn her sudden loss, not when she wowed her audience with her beautiful lovers in celebrity-style romances that were the trendy thing on the page of tabloids at the time. We all witnessed the thrilling romantic time Romy Schneider had with Alain Delon and the ups and downs that shrouded their moments together. The duo was among the most beautiful couples of their time. Some say Schneider's and Delon's romantic journey was more like a classic movie love story of a good girl falling in love with a debauched boy, just to grow up fast and run away from overbearing parents. Fortunately, their union was remarkably blissful within the nearly 5 years of togetherness. I'm not sure if this is a form of recognition, but I did agree that they are good enough as the 20th century's happiest couple. Romy Schneider's demise is shrouded in mystery. Until this moment, nothing concrete has come of it, except what is already known in the public domain. A French filmmaker, Laurent Piton, who was her partner then, found her collapsed and lifeless at her desk in the morning at their Paris apartment. Behind her were an unfinished handwritten message and a finished bottle of red wine on the desk. It seemed she was about to draft a message to a women's magazine to call off an interview. Those who witnessed the scene said her words broke off halfway. The official reason provided for her death indicated heart failure, probably caused by a combination of different pills and alcohol. That ugly incident took place in May 1982, and Schneider was just 43, nearing her 44th birthday. But a post-mortem examination was never done to put to rest any other speculation. The rumor spread widely. Romy Schneider's soul was laid to rest in the small hamlet of Boisy-Sans-Avoie, the last place she lived before her demise. She may have gone for good, but her legacy remains. She was a quotable personality and very vocal about what she believed in. Romy was once quoted to have linked her mother to no other person than the German warlord, alleging that the German leader was in a romantic relationship with her mother. She said this while answering questions about her mother's visits to the dictator's mountain retreat, seen in a German documentary. Just recently, it appears as if the Germans are remembering their once distanced and distressed daughter, with the release of 2 film biopics of Romy Schneider. The lady, once perceived by the German-speaking world as a traitor for refusing to follow the rules in Germany. Some of us believe that Romy is one of the best German-speaking female actors. The records are available, if only she had lived longer. Romy Schneider was born Rosemarie Magdalena Albach-Reddy in 1938 in Austria to an entertainment family. Her parents were both actors, Wolf Albach-Reddy and Magna Schneider. A German mother and an Austrian father were never available to properly nurse young Romy, so she was in the care of a governess during her first year of birth. Romy grew up in Königssee after her parents relocated from her place of birth to Germany, where she had her early primary education before joining the girls' boarding school Schloss Goldenstein. Like her parents, Romy got involved in school theater performances, inspired to progress in the same acting profession, though her artistic painting talent was remarkable after attending art school in Cologne. Romy soon set her eyes on theater until her opportunity came. On her mother's recommendation, she made her film debut in When the White Lilacs Bloom Again. She was said to have ditched her school program to focus on the role. The movie also starred Magna, her mother, as a lead actress. But after appearing in the Sissy trilogy, Romy became a movie sensation, more so with her very young age. Almost everyone would recognize her in the movie scene. Not too long after, with her stepfather Herbert Blatchheim as her manager, after her parents divorced and Magna married Herbert, the world became her immediate constituency. He had advised her to do another Sissy film, but Romy Schneider thought otherwise, because she was tired of being a princess. What a choice! Romy said she didn't want to be a princess all her life, because she was not just a princess on screen. She was a real princess, so she wanted something different. She loved the role initially, but it was time to grow from the princess role to a more adventurous movie part. Critics say despite the resounding success she had playing the role, Schneider was desperate to move away from the childlike and innocent characters that she was given to play in movies at the time. Before her handlers could understand what was happening, Romy took her destiny in her hand, and she escaped to the amazing French city of Paris and hooked up with her French lover, actor Alain Delon, generating a nationwide scandal. Love has eyes because the couple got engaged in 1959 and was something more than a media sensation. With that move, Schneider quietly settled in Paris, where she was doing her stint and attracting even bigger attention as a choice performer, amidst the eagle eyes of prominent directors like Orson Welles, Otto Preminger, and so on. Romy grew up quickly, dropping her initial typecast for more tasky, sexy, and offensive roles. Between the 1960s and 1970s, her movies were an acclaimed international success, notably the suspenseful story Swimming Pool, which brought a different dimension to her screen character. Commenting on the swift transformation, Romy said she escaped from her limitation because she wanted to get away from the dull moments in Germany, and described doing movies in Paris as a new life. She needed the freedom and utilized her opportunity. Analysts describe her quick transformation in the movies from the good girl nomenclature and symbol of the German middle class to more daring roles in Paris as incredible and timely. She needed to leave Germany, in other words, to blend with a different film tradition. Although this great beauty ruled French films at the time, her success was accompanied by personal tragic losses that engulfed her private life, including a loss of her dear son. After she was used and discarded by her heartthrob, Alain Delon, she married director Harry Mayen. Soon Schneider's union with Mayen hit a brick wall, and the duo ended in divorce, although she was said to have been in an affair with Daniel Biasini at the time. Daniel was also her private secretary, whom she later married the same year, when her marriage with Mayen ended. While she was grieving the loss, their son was reported killed in an accident in 1981, a boy that made her take a 2 years break from acting when he was born, so he could properly be taken care of. Romy Schneider dedicated herself exclusively to her duties as a helpmeet and a mother until 1968 when she returned to the screen. No wonder Schneider became increasingly dependent on alcohol and tranquilizers. And to our greatest surprise, she never really enjoyed the fame and success she labored so much to acquire, as she finds herself battling for emotional survival and longing for a normal life, eventually ending the way she did. Most of the films she produced during this period had some issues due to her repeated problems relating to excessive alcohol consumption. She was said to have appeared drunk on the set most of the time. At other times, she simply would not show up, and that was the initial sign that things were heading south for this rare movie genius. Her second marriage with Daniel Biasini was almost destined to fail, as things fell apart for her. And so, it also ended in divorce, with even more emotional injuries. Is it also true Romy Schneider had to undergo a serious kidney procedure? Of course she did, in what could have been the final breakdown, but she kept pursuing forward. Her destruction was mitigated by her new lover Laurent, who is willing to assist her in her bounce back to action. He was said to have added some stability to her, prompting director Jacques Ruffio to persuade her to make another movie, The Passerby. That movie became her last image before her tragic transition to eternal glory. About her move from Germany to France, after learning that her stepfather had turned down many film offers, including the version of The Three from the Filling Station and The Congress Dances, plus an offer from Hollywood, it was all turned down because she didn't fit into the good girl role that they were projecting. Romy Schneider became angry and decided to turn her life around her way. On her claim that her mother Magna Schneider had an affair with the most famous German dictator, it was on record that Magna was also a well-known actress in her era, a prominent German movie leading lady during the reign. She also resided closer to the German war leader Austrian Alp retreat, and of course was allegedly his preferred actress of choice. A relaxed photograph of Magna standing behind the leader tells more of the story than she had suggested. In 1976, Romy told a journalist that a next-door neighbor had seen Romy's mother spend the night at the Austrian Alp retreat. Remarkably, the claim was not made public until some time later after her demise. A German reporter, Alice Schwarzer, who was credited for this report, hinted that Romy was strongly convinced that her mother was locking the door behind with the dictator in what can only be described as a romantic relationship. Recall that Magna Schneider, whose union with Romy's father hit the rocks in 1945, was reported to have visited the German leader at Ober-Salzburg at the time. Though the mother and daughter relationship between Romy and her mother was described as a fraught relationship, she knew and kept a close relationship with her. Romy allegedly never forgave her mother, who was still alive at the time of her death, because of her fling with the German's chief idealist. Her mother lived 14 years more before her death. When asked why she was making such a public scandal against her mother, she said that she was no longer afraid or ashamed. Not at all. I'm not afraid anymore. But added that the information remains off the record and maintained that any attempt to do otherwise will be seen as a betrayal. If you betray me, Alice, it would be bad. She was allegedly quoted to have said to the journalist, in confidence. Another historic bombshell from Romy is her claim that her mother's second husband, who was managing her career at the time, Herbert Baltzheim, tried several times to take her to bed, but she would not agree to that. According to the source, all of this information remained classified until recently, when it was made available through a documentary that was intended to be aired on the Franco-German TV network Arte. The documentary is entitled En Bend mit Rom, meaning An Evening with Romy. The journalist said it was due for reporting since she was no longer alive and needed to be remembered for her great contribution to humanity. I didn't speak of it for decades, the source said, because I respected her wishes. Adding that to understand her misery, her agony, and her hypersensibility, it is only natural that people should know this too. And it's good to say it now, she clarified. Romy Schneider's early death certainly contributed to the legendary perception of her as the troubled lady of German films. This is owing to all her tragedies that were more dramatic than the drama she acted in movies. You can see that often the truth is very different from characters in the movies. Shirley Temple's secret behind her smile. You should watch this video.